Okay, welcome back to the Are You Strong show. Now, I am really excited about, having this guest on tonight. And this guy, he doesn't know it. Oh, he kind of knows it, but he and I go back a long ways in New Jersey football. This young guy, I say young because he's younger than me, from Montclair, New Jersey, currently lives in North Carolina, was one of the most touted high school athletes coming out of New Jersey, and I don't know how long to play football. Went to Penn State, had a great career there, won the national championship, got drafted into the NFL in 1989 by the Indianapolis Colts, played from 89 to 93 for the Colts and the 49ers, came out of the NFL and is really involved with multiple companies, succeeding tremendously in what I call the real world, right? Whether it was not athletic. And he wrote a book. I can't wait to dive into this book. It says, He Chose Me for This Journey is the title of the book, Transforming Trauma into Light One Day at a Time. I can't wait to talk about that. But welcome to the show, Quintus McDonald.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you for having me. Super excited about this opportunity to sit down and chop it up with an OG from Jersey
Yeah,
football.
there you go. There you go. Well, when, I, Mike Vesuvio, the name,
Yes.
uh, came to me. I don't know how long ago that was. He goes, "Hey, you know this guy, this name, Quintus McDonald?" I'm like, "Of course I know that name." And he's like, "How the hell do you know him?" I'm like, "Montclair High School, Penn State, NFL. I know him because we went to high school around the same time." And I know I kind of joked around. I shot you that article with our names in the newspaper at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I know a lot about this guy." He's all, "Oh, he's we're gonna work with him." I'm like, "Great, I can't wait to talk to him." So I was excited as soon as I heard your name. Then I went back into my archives of, I don't know if you still keep stuff, but man, I have every article under the sun from the Star Ledger from those years, and
Nice.
and and your name was everywhere, you know. But here's what I'm excited about today, Quintus. I know, and I know I said this to you on the phone, we spoke, but I know of you as the phenomenal high school football player. I know you of the Penn State great football player. I know you as the NFL football player, but I don't know you, the man. And what I'm looking forward to today is to getting to know you, the man,
Outstanding.
the person,
Yeah.
and there's so much behind the name Quintus McDonald other than NF or college and NFL football.
Mm.
So I'm excited to dive into that. I'm gonna kind of jump around a little bit. I got a bunch
Sure.
of questions to ask you, but the first one is, Penn State football is it's like the cream of the crop, right? It's where almost everybody wants to go. It's one of the top schools in the country every year. What was it like for you coming out of Montclair, New Jersey, getting recruited to go play to school like that?
Well, it was that entire journey was pretty much amazing, to be honest, because I tell the story. The fact of the matter is, it was the culmination of a perfect storm, really, for a guy like me. I mean, Montclair football had always been on the map in Jersey athletics from back when my head coach at the time, Joe Paterno, Butch Fortunato was actually playing. Then you've got legends like Aubrey Lewis, and the list just goes on and on of guys, Wally Choice, Mr. Choice, who went on to break color barriers. These guys were color barrier breakers coming out of the same school that I went to. And then leading up to that, you had guys going to Villanova, Syracuse, who were older than me, around your age. So there was always a spotlight on Montclair football.
Yeah.
And then I happened to play my, sophomore and junior seasons with a two-time All-American Brandy Wells. So everyone was coming to see Brandy. He had done something at Montclair High that hadn't been done in multiple decades by playing as a freshman. So that brought attention.
Yeah.
And as we grew as into sophomore and junior seasons, um, the folks were watching, and
Yeah.
we were there was it was really a hotbed of high school football nationally.
Yeah.
My junior, sophomore, and junior seasons, we played against my junior year for sure. We played against five teams. Well, we were one of five teams that were ranked nationally in the top five.
Yep.
You had us, you had Clifton, you had Passaic, you had Belleville. So it was four of us that
Yeah.
were in the top five. So because of all of those things and people coming to see those guys who were ahead of me,
Yeah.
they got a chance to see this skinny kid that just wouldn't stop. Like, who's this
Yep.
skinny kid that's all over the field?
Yep.
So it was surreal. By the time I was a senior, by senior year, and I had seen it happening with Brandy, and the coaches were coming. They really couldn't talk to me as a sophomore. They weren't supposed to talk to me as a junior. But I was getting letter after letter after letter, and the first letter as a sophomore was super exciting. And then
Yeah.
by the time I was a senior, I had two of those outdoor 64-gallon garbage bags filled with letters that I hadn't even opened,
Yeah.
from colleges and universities that I had no interest in. It felt good. So sure, it's good for, um, I don't know if ego, it's good for confidence to
Yep.
let you know that you are, it makes you feel good to be wanted without a doubt. Um, However, that spotlight can become a hindrance as well. It got to the point my senior year where, back in those days, they were only allowed like three in-person visits or
Yep.
whatever the rules were. Well, these guys, every one of them were breaking those rules. They were harassing my mother at her job. She worked at Montclair State, so they were harassing her there. They were sitting on my street. It just became laborious, to
So
be
it's almost
honest.
like the paparazzi chasing you around.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I had to go ahead and make a declarative statement and say these are the five teams that I'm interested in, and still guys still showed up. I mean,
Yeah.
and I see why today with folks flipping and going to different places.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because to be honest, I had made up in my mind that I was going to go to Southern Cal. I was determined to be. I wanted to be a Trojan. I thought that that's where my future was going to be.
Yep.
It was a difficult decision because I really love the atmosphere of Penn State,
Hmm.
because I'm a city boy with country roots. I was born
Yep.
down here in the South and would always come back and forth. And I love New Jersey because that's where my mother was. But I love
Yep.
New Jersey as well. Um, Southern Cal was obviously more inner city situation.
Yep.
Um, However, that didn't work out. It didn't work out, and I ended up at Penn State.
Now, can you imagine what would be like today for you if today was your high school world and being recruited today? How
Wow.
crazy that would be. The money they'd be throwing at you today
Yeah.
coming out of high school would be ridiculous.
Oh, 100%. We would need the attorneys. We would certainly need attorneys and accountants and the support of a legal community,
Yeah.
because and that's why we do what we do at I
Yep.
Am Recycling, to help these youngsters, because they are looking at, some of them specifically quarterbacks, the top rated quarterbacks are looking at millions of dollars over a 4-year period.
Right.
So it's really truly significant cash, and it's a tremendous opportunity for a jump start in life. And these are the things that we are determined to help the youngsters and their parents
Yeah.
see, that it's a step up in life. It's an opportunity to set yourself up for wealth.
Yeah.
literally in the future.
It's huge. It's huge. So you're at Penn State. I don't want to spend time talking about all 4 years because I can sit here till next Tuesday talking to you about it,
About that. Yeah.
But how did playing there develop you, you know, uh, not just as a player, but as a person to become who you are for when it was time to leave there and go to the NFL?
Well, great question. First of all, that's a tremendous question. It prepared me for um, being determined to that I have to every single play matters. Like every single play, I have got to dominate on this play. Otherwise, someone will find something to pick apart. And even when you dominate, if a coach wants to, they can find something to pick apart. Well, okay, you created a fumble and you recovered the fumble, but you didn't do this.
Mm,
And if you don't do this, the way our defense is structured, and you don't make the tackle, then it's a touchdown. Which all of that's understandable. But what about the fact that I just scooped and scored myself?
yeah.
So, but it prepared me in that way that look, we've got to dominate every single
Mm,
snap and leave no question that I'm the guy that's supposed to be on the field come Sunday. Period. That was the preparation for the next level for me. Um, and being able to play multiple positions, the more that you can do, the more valuable you are
right.
in the league. Simply because if you can do multiple things, that means that that's another roster spot they don't have to fill because
Yep.
they can shuffle you over and bring someone just play chess with their pieces. So
Yeah.
that was good preparation as well. Didn't feel good, but the fact that I lettered 4 straight years at 4 different positions did bode well for me.
Yeah, well, think about what you just said. You lettered 4 years at four different positions, right?
Correct.
Who does that anymore? Right? Because most kids, you know what'll happen, Quintus? Oh, you know what? You're gonna play over here now. And what do the most kids today say? No, I'm out of here. Where's the transfer portal? I'm out.
Yeah,
Versus, hey, if that's where I can play to play, and it helps the team out, let's go.
that's the
So
that's the
how
that's
did
the
you
piece.
manage that mentally?
Well, that was the question I asked. When, being defensive player of the year in multiple, parade and USA Today and all of that stuff, um, with Southern Cal and Artie Gigantino was the defensive coordinator at the time. He made no bones about, look, we may want to put you over at tight end for some plays as well as playing linebacker. You're coming here to play linebacker, but if we need you at tight end during the game, we might just do that. And I was all for that. He was
Yeah,
up
let's
front
go.
and forthright, absolutely. So Penn State was like, well, you're going to play defense, and here's the depth chart, and here's where you are. And after our first 3 days, 9 practices in 3 days, I had eviscerated the depth chart, and I was right there. You know, I wasn't number one, but I was right behind number one, and taking snaps with the number two. And Franny came and said, "Hey, the big guy wants you to play tight end." Was the conversation. There's some logistical things that went on during the conversation, so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, hey, he wants you to play tight end. I said, well, will it help the team? He said, absolutely. It'll help the team. I said, well, can I go back to linebacker next year if I want? Absolutely, you can. So I go to tight end. Not a problem, because if it helps the team, that means I'm going to get on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
So
If I go back a gazillion years when we played it, Like if I was on the field, I didn't care where I was playing. Just let me play someplace.
Let me play
You
some.
know, I would rather be in a position I don't want to play than sit over there on the bench.
That's right.
You know what I
That's
mean? But the
exactly
kid, like
right.
you said, the kids today. So from your perspective, I know you work with a lot of kids, a lot of stuff. You know, how do you think the kids today should handle that adversity?
I think that they should find someone to talk to. I think that they should. I pray that they have, um, number one, that they've got a coach that can approach them properly, and not lie to them, not feed them, blow smoke and mirrors and all of that stuff. So that's number one, that you've made a good choice in where you decide to go, and that you are building rapport and have a relationship with the coach the best you can. Your position coach, first of all, the person that recruited you. You really want to build a relationship with them so that they're comfortable talking to you, you're comfortable asking them questions. Excuse me, that I believe is paramount, and having someone to talk to when things get tough. And it can't be your peer. It needs to be someone who has experience, even if it's an older player on the team. Um, there needs to be someone that you can go to, because tucking your tail and running becomes habitual,
Yeah,
and you don't want to do that.
no,
And so does planting a flag and standing, and you do want to do that. How that works out and what that looks like, um, could be any number of things. Any you can plant the flag and stay, like I did. I mean, no one was there. There was one guy that transferred from Penn State. He left us and went someplace, and he comes around. He used to come around all the time as we became into adulthood, and I was like, "You're a traitor, bro. I never,
but
you
that's how
left
we
us.
looked at them. You left? What do you mean you're
Yeah,
leaving?
you left
Yeah,
because in those days, no one was really leaving.
no,
Um, it today I'm grateful that I stayed. I accomplish the things that I had planned, and the goals that I set for football in college? No, not even close. I didn't accomplish those things. The one thing that I did accomplish was I got my degree from Penn State, and that's the truly, and won a national championship. I,
so
I, I thought we would win a couple.
I have to ask you something. And so the typical person is like, what's he talking about? He has didn't accomplish his goals. Full scholarship, biggest college in the company, or I mean the country, 4-year letterman, national championship, drafted in the NFL, played in the NFL. What does he mean he didn't accomplish all of his goals? Like,
Yeah, I
can you
set
talk about
goals for
that?
Penn State.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, absolutely. You must set goals for yourself in life. And going into Penn State, I absolutely had goals of being an All-American. Before I decided to go to Penn State, my thought was I could be an All-American on offense and defense. When I was looking at Southern Cal, like I could do that. I could be an All-American
Yeah.
on offense and defense. Um, when it came down to just Penn State, I said, okay, they call this linebacker U. I'm going to be an All-American linebacker. And so I didn't accomplish that goal. Did we win a national championship? Absolutely. Did I play well in the national championship game? Absolutely. Did it work out like it appeared it would? Absolutely not. And those are just some intricacies that
Yeah.
that take place in life, things that you have no control over. When you do all that you can do, um, then that at some point has to be enough. And as a 18, 19-year old, those pills are difficult to swallow sometimes.
Yeah.
And those are some of the things that I carried into the NFL that quite frankly made my transition out of the NFL. I mean, had I not gotten injured, I can't even imagine San Francisco would have what it would have been like at San Francisco, because they ended up winning the Super Bowl in '94 after I was gone, like the year I was there in '93 and got injured. But had I not gotten injured, um, yeah, the things that were happening on the field were incredible. I mean, I was in
Yep.
the best shape of my best condition of my life. And they literally had to pull me off the field in order for the offense to get real play, get some real work, because it was a disruption from the snap of the ball. So, you
That's
know,
awesome.
and those are things that had to be reconciled within myself. That's why the book is so important.
Yep.
That, that I understand that all of what my life was made up of, my previous life was a setup for me to be of service to the
Yep.
kingdom of heaven right here in earth and do the things in the communities, not just here in North Carolina, in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, in Indiana, in Georgia, but across the globe. I mean, we've got relationships in multiple countries in Africa where we are already uh, there's a level of impact that's only going to grow because these folks see um, their children being impacted by what God is doing through me. So it's a beautiful thing. I'll be in the Kingdom of Heaven Hall of Fame instead of the NFL, and that's going to be fine for me.
Well, you know what? The Kingdom of Heaven Hall of Fame lives forever,
That's right.
lives on forever. The
Indeed.
NFL Hall of Fame might end one day,
That's right.
you know?
Very well could. And it's that stuff fades away for sure.
Yeah.
The jacket gets too big or too small. The bust is gonna be too big or too small.
And the bus doesn't even look like half these
The
people
bust,
anyway.
right,
Right?
the bust looks like your third cousin on your mother's
Yeah.
side.
Oh
Right.
man. So I want to get into your book, but I want to ask you two questions before we get into the book.
Absolutely.
The first one is on or off the field, what's your most memorable moment at Penn State?
Um, so we're gonna do both
Okay.
on the field. Um, there's so many on the field. I
It's
can't
hard to
even.
pick, right?
Yeah, it's hard to pick. There's so many. I mean, there's a handful. There's a handful on the field. Stopping uh, Tim Brown my junior year, the year he won the Heisman, it was like 17 below zero in Happy Valley, um, and they were setting up for a reverse, and I could see it because I was hyper focused in film sessions that week, and I could hear my coach, my position coach at the time, yelling, "Here they come, Q! They're coming! Here they come, Q! They're coming!" And that was from the week of practice, like
Yep.
we could be just because of the tendencies. You
Hmm.
watch the tendencies, you learn the tendencies, and Coach Kenny is yelling, "They're coming, Q! Here they come!" You know, and sure enough, I see it. I see it from the first two plays that they run, and I'm thinking, okay, they're setting up to get to the wide side of the field. They're coming back this way, and there's no way he's getting outside of me. I'm gonna make sure he doesn't get up inside of me. And sure, we were able to stop him for about a 1 yard loss on that play, and it was pivotal. Third down, you know, third down play, which made them punt the ball back to us. So that was one on the field.
Now, was Brandy on the sideline for that one? Wait, watching
Oh
Brandy
yeah,
Wells?
and it happened on their sideline too. Yeah, we made the stop on their sideline, so he had to come out and on punt return or punt cover. But that was a great one. Um, I really my freshman year when they asked me to go and play tight end, I ended up starting. We went two tights. Our opening game was against Maryland, and they had, top five defense in the nation. They were ranked number two or three in the nation in different polls. This is 80 85. Um, and we went down there to play them. And my assignment, I was the second tight end. We played two tights, and my assignment was to block their All-American defensive end. And you know, he threw me around a lot. He was much stronger than me.
Was he a senior?
He was a senior. He was a senior. So I was good and beat up, but he had one tackle and no sacks. And I graded out at a 124.3.
All right.
So that was extremely that was memorable. Those are good memories on the field. Off the field, without a doubt, graduating 30 years later. Um, there's a photo which you probably have that photo too of me and a young kid who was at graduation age, and he happened to have been one of our interns. We created a marketing company in partnership with an RV company up at
Hmm.
Penn State, and one of the give backs, and it was a step up for us too. But a give back was to hire interns from the School of Communications, from the School of Technology, and I actually had the opportunity to graduate with one of my interns, which that was phenomenal. That was really, really
That's
phenomenal.
awesome.
And my family was there. Yeah, that was really,
That
my
must have
wife
been,
was
that
there.
had to be a surreal event. What motivated you to go back after so many years to get that degree?
The opportunity, the help from the Players Association, um, the fund. I forget the name of the fund, but there's a fund specifically inside the Players Association that helps with that. So that gave the opportunity, but I had been motivated for a number of years because after football, I I fell into corporate sales, and before I started the ministry piece, and to it's a competitive place. The room is competitive, and the boards, you see what's happening on the grease board up in the front of the room. You know what's going on, and to see my name at the top of the grease board, and then hear what other people's base salary um, was completely disheartening. And all of my coworkers look like you, no women, all white males. Um, and so I went and I had a conversation, and the conversation came back. Well, these guys have their degree. That's why they get
Mm,
the base salary that they get. And I thought it was nonsense until I heard it over and over and
yeah.
over again. Um, so fast forward, way fast forward, when the opportunity presented itself, well, number one, because of that, made me become an entrepreneur. I said, you know what? I'm not going to keep selling for these guys and building their dreams and growing their wealth when I can create something of my own. There's creativity in me. There's things that I want to do that I can see that we can improve upon in specific areas. Let's go and do that. So I decided to walk that road, and then the ministry came, flooding in, and my grandmother, what she told me my destiny was, became real and right in front of my face. Fast forward 35, 40 years, and it became real. So I knew that I needed to do that. Period. First and foremost was to be in a position to give back, because I looked over my life, and it all was sparked by a ban the box campaign, which that box on the top right-hand corner of applications that ask if you are a convicted felon. And because these men and women had been caught in an offense, their application, regardless of how good, how productive they could be, their application went straight to the shredder
Yep.
on a regular basis simply because of that box. So I became determined to do something about all of that and impact that area, and not to mention the lifestyle, the adverse lifestyle that I had lived after professional football, and had not was not in prison myself. I knew that I needed to give back and pay back, because that was my question. Lord, I mean, I can't even go to jail. I can't stop using dope. I can't stop drinking. I can't even go to jail. Like, I thought maybe if I went to prison that I'd be able to stop, that would make me stop. And that wasn't the answer, because I
Yep.
was in a self-inflicted prison. But in that prison, like Paul and Silas, I began to pray, and I learned, and I talked with my uncle, um, and we talked about this day that his mother, my grandmother, had told him about, as well as she told me about, and now here we are, and all of the trepidation, the trials, the tribulation, that I was able to walk through, that did not kill me. It made me stronger and gives me the opportunity to hear men's and women's stories at a whole nother level, and have empathy for them in a place where I have the capacity to give them what they stand in need of, because I know what it took for me to get out of there. And I get to give that back. So,
That's awesome. So I just wrote down a couple of things. You say ministry, your businesses, you got your book, but yet you mentioned, you said the adverse lifestyle, right?
mhm.
What, did that start during football? Did that start after football? Was that injury related and way to get rid of the pain? Can you talk about that progression? How it and
Absolutely. Absolutely. We talk about it in the book. So that's really where we are in the
yeah,
progression of this conversation.
yep,
It started with me making a decision, because I was completely against all of that. Didn't want any parts of it. I was fine without it. And I came from a town and a time where, parents, there was always a kegger. A
yeah, yeah,
kegger. I know you
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that as a
Oh yeah,
Jersey boy. You got to
oh yeah,
remember that term.
yep,
So, um, but my first drink, I didn't drink for a social reason. I drank because I was angry, and I drank at an emotion. And what I didn't realize is when I did that, it set a hook, a spiritual hook, um, so that when that emotion would come up again of hurt, disappointed, angry, and can't do anything about it. Like, there's nothing I can do about it physically, because if I can put my hands on it, if I could run it down, then I was okay, because I'd run it down and destroy it, and I'd be fine
yep,
physically. But when these things are out of your control and there's nothing you can physically do about it to rectify it, um, that hook that was set would always come back. So it began in high school. Now I wasn't, and just three sport athlete. I mean, we won. I started from my sophomore year in basketball as well, and we won two county championships, multiple conference championships. Um, states, not the state finals, but we got right there on the cusp as a starter. So, um, all state shot put thrower. And as a freshman, we still have a you'll remember this. Did you run track at all?
no, I was a baseball, wrestle,
Baseball
and football.
and football. Okay. So there used to be a thing called a sprint medley in high school, which was a 200, 400, 880. So 100, 200, 400, 880. Um, and that was and they stopped doing that. But our freshman team, I know we had the state record for a long, long time. And when I went back and asked about it, they were like, "Well, nobody runs the medley anymore." So we may
We
have
still
been
have it.
retired as the state record holder in the sprint medley. But my point is, um, we get I get to a place where if you cannot move past the emotional pain and you start to go outside of yourself to move past the emotional pain, a hook gets set and you'll end up going back to that when that emotional pain comes up again and again. Because the emotional pain, the storms come in life.
Yeah.
They come to pass. They come to pass. We know that. However, if you get caught in a storm and you don't have the spiritual foundation to move through that, understanding that we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and we get hooked up and back to that adverse lifestyle, it becomes an issue. So with all of and I didn't have those problems in high school.
Right.
I just drank and partied. I mean, there was no adverse whatever it is that I could help the team. Our coaches were true and honest, and I mean they created flex end position my senior year where I would go from tight end to running back and take handoffs,
Yeah.
all kind of things. So, um, but that's not the case as you climb the ladder and a coach can look at you and tell you, yes, I know you're the best, but I don't need to play you to win. Um, that's a disheartening thing. And that's a spiritual pain.
Yeah.
And when you don't have the spiritual tools to combat that, you do things that are adverse and that are not healthy for you or for anyone around you.
Hmm.
And that's where things really got out of hand at Penn State. They really did. And you get into the NFL, and like I said, making a decision to dominate every play. Um, you go from a draft pick to taking the first team outside linebacker, strong side backers position. We all of these things, and then all of a sudden they have an opportunity to get someone who was defensive rookie of the year, defensive player of the year, and all of these things. And it makes sense. Okay, we're getting him. He's going to help the team. That's great. Sure, coach, I'll help him. I'll coach him up. Um, you want him to run first team? Okay, I'll take I'll coach him up when he I'll go in with the second team. I go on the field. Coach is like, no, 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 you got to go coach him up. So I'm thinking, this looks familiar. So
Hmm.
I'm back on the sideline. I'm not getting any reps. No reps means that doesn't bode well for Sunday.
No. No.
So in adverse situations, I fell back to what um, made me feel better, but never ever helped the situation ever. Made all the
No.
situations worse.
It
And
just
these are
masked
the
it.
things. Say again.
It just masked the problem.
Oh yeah,
Right.
100%. It I- it didn't even mask the problem, bro, because I thought about it more.
Okay.
It, you know,
And that's
and
when the
then
anger came out. You say you drank from the
exactly,
anger. Okay.
exactly, and then you go and you're not supportive of the team because you're being that's a selfish situation.
Yeah.
That's a completely selfish situation. You don't see it when you're in it.
Right.
And that's why I say he chose me for this journey because I I can't imagine someone else walking in my shoes. I mean, the things that have taken place, the things that I've done, the things that have happened. I mean, I'm sitting here, I've got a bullet in my body as we speak. So there's God's hand has been on me. And what I get to do now is give back, brother. I get to give it back and pay it forward. And it's truly, truly a blessing for me because he kept me. Boy, did he keep me.
So when did the drinking and everything stop?
October 26th, 2010. Now there was intermittent times. I mean, I had
Yep.
um, crazy story here, true story. Um, my third year in the league, uh, I ended up. That's the first time. I don't know if it had ever happened before, but it's the first time I played all four linebackers in one game during this season. We ended up being 1-15, and because of the work that I did on the field, our offense was just pitiful. Our defense, we averaged 75 something, like 70 plus plays a game, that's just right, exactly.
Ton.
Our offense was completely inept. Um, um, However, coming out of that season, I get $1 million contract. So those two don't even add up. But that's what the team, Mr. Ursay, God rest his soul, they stood by me, stuck with me through thick and thin. And then when it was, my rookie contract was up, they showed up and gave me I was happy about it. I there's discrepancy. I don't know how much you know, but about NFL contracts, but there's always discrepancy between black and white players playing the same position, guys coming in the same let's say fifth round draft pick
Yep.
at whatever number.
Is it still that way today?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not close to it to know that. I would say it's more difficult for them to do it now because um, guys are willing. There are more options for players.
Right.
There's guys are willing. There's people who will attorneys and their legal teams will take care of them to sit out and wait. They because the players, I mean, these are their legal teams know what their worth is,
Yeah.
and they know they'll get their money back. So there's those types of conversations that go on. So it's more difficult to do those things today than it was back in the late 80s and early 90s.
Right.
Um, so I forgot where were we?
Just when the drinking and stuff stopped
Oh,
and you
yeah.
got into your third year, your $1 million contract, and then
Oh, yeah. This is what landed me out of Indianapolis. 1 month in a 30-day time period, one of my close college friends, 20 bucket was a year older than me. So he's 25, dropped dead on the basketball court.
mm,
And I'll preempt this with the fact that I had always had issues with death and didn't know it. I thought that my thing was the anger and the remorse and can't not remorse, but can't put my hands on it. However, when I was in my grandmother passed, the one that told me who I would be in life, who God called me to be, who was my closest friend and my nurturer, passed away um, when I was in eighth grade. And to I lost a complete portion of the year. Like I don't remember and didn't know that until sheesh here since 2010. Um, when I moved back to North Carolina and I had a conversation with my mother and I finally asked her, why didn't you let us go see mother when she was sick? And she just looked at me kind of like you're looking at me now and said, Quintus, are you serious? I said, yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to know. I've never been able to ask you. And this is after I had come to Christ and repented and given my life back to Christ because I had done it when I was a child, but lived in that adverse lifestyle. I knew I needed to come back because God is the only power that keeps me from acting a fool. So um, after repentance, and I asked my mother, and she told me that we were traveling twice a month for a year, going to from Jersey to North Carolina, and I completely don't remember any of it. So I say that to say that I had issues with death. I blocked
Right.
that out completely because of the pain. So here comes my boy Bucket passes away. Like, man, that's tough. We fly back. Um, you know, there was several of us that went to school together that were playing in the league at that time. So we all, we showed up for him and his family, get back to Indianapolis. Maybe a week later, a guy that I grew up with in New Jersey, who was now married to one of my old girlfriends, is very close, who actually went to Penn State as well.
Okay.
We were more friends than boyfriend and girlfriend. We really were friends. Well, he murdered her on the
Oh,
job and then jumped off the building and killed himself. Yeah.
no.
Um, that's three. Then a week or two later, sitting in my locker and the phone rings. We were doing drills and the phone rings. I look and our upstairs neighbor came in and found her mother dead in the floor. She had had an aneurysm. I mean, these are people that we lived on the first floor. They lived on the second floor all
Yep.
through junior high and high school. So we were like family. I mean,
Yeah.
we were like family. And I couldn't take it. Now, mind you, I had been clean that entire year, sober, working hard, getting things done. And yeah, I made a conscious decision to return to the accursed thing, and that hook that I talked about being set, I reset the hook,
Mm.
and yeah, it turned ugly very very quickly. Um, so those are that's a time when, and I've had multiple times when I've had a year clean. I mean, I was clean when I went to San Francisco. I got myself together. I got, they brought me out for. It's a funny story. They brought me out for I got a letter uh, from my agent at the time. He's like, "Look, we got you a free agent tryout in San Francisco." And I'm thinking, okay, now I had after Indianapolis released me, my case was actually in court because my test was not it wasn't conclusive. Um, so I had traveled to a couple of places. They released me after we played Kansas City. Um, I cleared waivers and Cleveland brought me in for a workout. I worked out. They were like, "Yeah, we're going to sign you on Monday. We're going to get past this first game." And guess who they were playing? They were playing the Colts.
Oh
So
boy.
instead of of course, they're asking, why did you guys cut this dude? Because I had played against Cleveland. They've seen all the film. Why would you cut him? And they told them what was going on when they weren't
Yep.
supposed to tell them, of course, but they did, and that's my fault. That's not on them. I'm the
Yep.
one that made the decision. So after Cleveland, that Monday came and none of the coaches showed up, and then I get a message that I have a ticket at the airport, blah blah blah. So I knew what tryouts looked like, so I was prepared for that. I get out there, man. There's 180 people.
Oh my God.
So um, we are all, you know, doing what we do, going through the drill, so on and so forth. Um, they send us home after a week. Well, that first one was about 4 or 5 days. Send us home. I get a call back. Hey, we're bringing you back to the next camp. I go back out there. There's about 70 of us. They white chopped a bunch of people. Um, I get, you know, we go through the week, have an exceptional week. Coach tells me, look, you know, we want you to come back. We're bringing you back for the next camp, but you need to come back here at 240 pounds. You know, I had played big in Indianapolis. And when I was out there, I had slimmed down a little bit. So I was about 255 the first camp. And they asked me, they didn't tell me, they asked me if I thought I would be better, you know, if I lost some weight when they sent the ticket for me to come back to the second camp. So I
Yep.
got down to about 250. Then the third camp, they told me I was coming back. They brought it back about 30 of us, and they said, you know, you need to be 245. I came back at like 243. Um, then they gave a contract. So out of 170 plus people, three of us got contracts, and I was one of the three. So
Wow.
that was a tremendous accomplishment. And he told me, he said, you come back at 240. And I did. And I told you what a disruptor.
Yeah, I can only now. Were you playing better at 240?
Yes, I was
All right.
100%. 100%. I mean, the defense was different.
Yeah.
Our entire defense in Indianapolis was everybody was big. All of the linebackers were 255 and above.
Yep.
Our D line were like 60, John Hand, 6'8", 3 plus, 300 plus. Donnell Thompson, you know, 6'7", you know, 290. Sam Clancy, 6'6", 280, you know, the
Monsters.
small, I
They're
say
big.
again.
They're monsters. Just
Yeah,
big guys.
monsters, exactly. Smallest person on the D line was the nose guard. That was Harvey Armstrong, who's like 6'3", 280, all muscle. You know, Strong is about, he might be 200 pounds now. So he was just all muscle and insane. And so we all played big, but and I still moved well, but nothing like 240
Yeah.
was the whole next level.
What are
Next
you
level.
tipping today?
Oh boy, 320.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're working on that. You'll see me next week, and I guarantee you the next time you see me, there'll be at least 30 pounds gone.
Well, okay. Well,
Yeah. So
just keep on trucking one day at a time with that,
one day at a
right?
time. Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
the book, tell me about the book. What what is I know this all inspired the book, but what's the motivating factor in it, and what are you hoping people get from it?
Okay. So the motivating factor for me, um, when you say in it, you mean the motivating factor to produce it, or what do you mean by the
Like,
motivating
well, yeah, what
factor
was your
in it?
motivating factor to produce it?
Okay.
And what's motivating you? What are you hoping people are going to get from it when they
Okay.
read it?
Okay. Um, so the motivation to produce it was a drive. I mean, from the inside of me, I couldn't, like, it wouldn't, my spirit wouldn't leave me alone, um, because the story of redemption needs to be told. So many people saw the rise of this guy, Quintus McDonald, and so many people thought that they knew me, but they knew the player. They didn't know me. They know what they saw. They knew um, what I was doing on the athletic surface. Um, but it was a drive and determination for people to see what God can do with a broken vessel. you see this shiny thing that's all American this and NFL that and all of these things, and then you hear how broken that person is. And what folks needed to know is that God can scoop up that broken clay pot and put it back on his wheel, and with the oil of redemption, recreate you to be the vessel that you were created to be in the first place. So it's a story about redemption that needed to be heard, um, and it's about what God chooses to do. It's not it it's an easy read, and the prayer is that everyone that reads it comes away understanding that no matter what they've done in life, no matter where they've been in life, that God's hands and his arms are open, that we can come back and he can use every single piece of your brokenness to his glory if you are a willing vessel.
So how long ago did you write it?
Sheesh, we started writing many years ago. I started writing with a ghostwriter. My Actually, he was um, a friend of mine who worked for the Star Ledger for many years. He was a writer for the Ledger, and um, I want to say that may have been 2008 when I started the ministry. We started we started writing, um, and he got married and started a family, so we stopped. I made another bad choice we were working and doing great things in the community. I had built a company, and we had 14 men employed in 2010, but we began with over 40 employed, men and women, 40 employed, and of that 40 plus, the vast majority, 42 of them were convicted felons. So we were putting people to work and helping them with their skills, helping them learn how to speak with people, how to be in public,
Yeah.
and be professional, so that maybe they could start their own business, legitimate business, was the idea. Um, made a poor decision um, in, I want to say, August of 2010. Um, a bad decision. Once again, that anger, hurt, disappointment, and I really I was resigned from a lifestyle of hurting other individuals physically. And the person that hurt me emotionally and spiritually, that I wanted to hurt physically, was not he's not formidable at all. I'd have felt horrible if I just pounded him the way that I wanted to. um, and that boils down to me not being able to address the issues verbally and
Right.
have a man-to-man conversation and say, look, bro, what you did is completely unacceptable. Let me walk you through what this looks like from my side of the table. And it was my business partner
Yeah.
that hurt me. And I went back out and got a drink and got the drugs, and um, it was a mess.
Yeah.
It was a mess, and I ended up in the hospital for 4 days. Um, it was a complete mess. And during that run is when the bullet happened. It all was just it was time for a change. Um, and
Now, is all this in the book?
no, no, I didn't go. A lot of it is in the book. I don't go into detail like I'm going into detail
Yeah.
here. And I'll, I don't, I don't, I didn't certainly didn't put anyone's names
No.
in
Okay.
there in the things that some of the things that happened.
Right.
Um, Surely, those who lived it and were around know exactly who and what
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
things are, which is
Yeah.
why I just didn't put a lot of those things in there.
Yeah.
Um,
Is
but
there a specific chapter of the book that you're like, hey, this is like the heart and soul of the book?
yeah, from page 3 to 175,
That's the whole book.
it's the whole book.
All right.
It is that is my heart and soul. I mean, it's the story
Yeah.
as I tell it. I mean, I there's many people that were hurt along my journey. So there's a lot of making up in there. Um, and then there's a lot of celebrating the newness of life in there. Maybe not as much celebrating as there is making up. Um, and to be honest, my perspective on that is that I get to celebrate with everyone who's still coming with me.
Yeah.
Many of those that all of those that I leave apologies for and have made amends to, they're in my rearview mirror. They are the past, and I've taken that weight off of my shoulders by making my amends publicly and out loud because I disrespected many of them publicly and out loud.
What does that feel like, Quintus? Making up with somebody who you've had a conflict, a disagreement, whatever it might be. How good do you feel when in your mind, you've given everything you have inside of you to make it right and it works?
Well, it's a relief. It feels really good. Um, bearing a burden that's not mine to bear is a problem because those burdens are too heavy for me to carry. They're not my burdens to bear. That's why I have a relationship with Jesus Christ, so that He's the heavy load bearer, and I give my burdens to Him, and He gives me instruction through the Holy Spirit on what to do and where to go to be of service because I can't be of service if I'm steady staring at myself. I'm not moving anywhere. I'm
Right.
not going and doing anything. I'm staring at myself like woe is me, woe is me. That's unhealthy and it's not a kingdom mindset at all.
I love what you just said. When I'm looking down here, I'm writing all kinds of stuff down that you're saying.
Okay.
And I love what you just said. You can't get anything done when you're staring at yourself.
Hmm.
Can you dig deeper on that one?
Yeah, it is 100% selfishness. If first of all, what I'm looking at, I'm drawn to. So whether I'm looking at it with my natural eye or with my spiritual eye, I'm drawn to that thing. So if I'm looking at a problem and an issue, then that's I'm going to stay focused on the issue and the problem, and it's only going to get bigger because I get closer and closer and closer to it until it consumes me. So we are determined to stay focused on the kingdom, focused on what it is that God can do through us. And when I say us, I'm talking about I Am Recycling Incorporated, beginning with me and my queen, because I can't go without her. Even though this was created before her, I truly believe God had created her for me and for a time like this, for us to go forward and do the things in the kingdom that we've been called to do. She's an amazing woman with incredible gifts. And I'm just grateful that when God presented her to me, I was listening to him. Sometimes I'm just not, he's got to hit me with a sledgehammer. But I was on point that day. And I'm truly, truly, eternally grateful.
Well, you were looking at her.
Oh yeah.
Right.
That's
So like
exactly
you
right.
said, you know,
And look,
what you're looking at, you're drawn to. So you must have been looking at her a lot.
let me say this. I opened the door for her. She came in the store, and I watched her go by, and I said, "Wow," you know. Um, and then I'm talking to myself like, "Leave that woman alone," just don't. And I was out running errands with my mother at the time. Had just moved to not just I had moved to Durham the previous year,
Yep.
and I turn around after I tell myself to leave her alone. And I had already finished shopping. That's why I opened the front door for her. My mother was still off. I didn't know what she was doing. But I look up with my eyes to the back of the store, and there my wife is right in front of me at the back of the store, standing there with a box of the same thing that we drove from the opposite side of the city to come get. We were out running
Okay.
errands with my mother, and said, "Okay, we were in North Durham." Said, "Are we done?" She's like, "No, I need to go to the Dollar Tree, the dollar store, and get some business envelopes." Now, mind you, with the eyes again. That morning, I was sleeping in the loft at my mother's house. Her husband had allowed me to come there. He let me send my son to get him out of Indianapolis. And then I packed up, made a decision I was going to change my life and do what was right, and I moved. So that morning, after devotion and all of what I do, I'm putting my pallet away, and there, out of nowhere, are three pristine business envelopes out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, they'll come in handy. Thank you, Lord. God just does stuff like that for me. It just happens, and I happen to notice, so I give him thanks and I put them up. So when my mother said that, my first thought was to say, "Well, I've got three business envelopes." The Holy Spirit said, "Spend time." Simple as that. Spend time. So I'm like, okay, keep your mouth shut and enjoy the time with your mother, right? Spend time.
Yep.
So we drive to the other side of the city. I open the door for her, who is now my queen, talk to myself and say, "Leave her alone." I get a little antsy because my mother hasn't come yet. I look up, and there she is, a complete aisle away from where the business envelopes are, because mind you, I had already gotten them. I told my mother I got the business envelopes. So I had gone and gotten them. I know where they were. She's at the end cap of another aisle directly in front of me with this box of envelopes and this bewildered look on her face. Not seeing me, but I see her.
Yep. Yep.
Said, "Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, Lord, what you telling me?" And then I tell myself, "Go find your mother. Leave this woman alone." So I go back and I'm looking for my mother, and my mother, for the first time I had ever seen my mother evangelizing out in public, in the community, in the marketplace. And I'm just like, "Hallelujah. I'm going to leave you to it, Mom. I'll be in the front of the store." I go back to the front of the store, and sure enough, they come up at the same time. Two separate registers, which is just completely unlikely in a dollar store. And I'm looking at her. Now, mind you, I had written a list of what I wanted my wife to look like and be like, most important.
Hmm.
And I'm watching my wife like that. Exactly. I'm saying, check. Watching, looking at her, check, check.
Yeah.
My goodness. And they check out at the same time. My mother's walking, she's walking. I opened the door, and the Holy Spirit said, "Go get her." Like, man, said it again, "Go get her." I said, "Okay, Lord, if this is really you, I'm going to get rid of my mother, and I'm going to go get her. You have to show her to me." Because I didn't want to follow her out or any of
Yeah.
that. I wanted to take my mother to our vehicle, her vehicle, and do what's next, which I knew was to go to the grocery store. They put the bags up. I said, "Mama, stay outside." She said, "Okay." She starts walking to the grocery store. I said, "All right, Lord." And I turn around, and my wife is on the opposite side of the parking lot, where on the other side of the exit, 2-lane exit entrance, and I can see her face as clear as I can see yours on this screen. I said, "Okay, here we go," and I took the walk, and it was amazing, man. I didn't want to startle her. I'm walking up to the car. It was a beautiful day. She had the sunroof open, the windows cracked. And so I just stopped at the tree and I'm watching her. And she's focused, writing out checks. She had gotten business envelopes to send off her bills. And I'm thinking, boy, that's what I need. Someone focused like that to help me and blah, blah, blah. So I get up well, it wasn't even courage at this point. I mean, God had showed all to me. So I spoke and man, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I was actually headed to Virginia the next day for a business meeting, and we talked that night. I gave
What
her a
did you say
business
to her
card.
when she's in the car to get her to talk to you? Do you remember?
I remember speaking and saying hello, and she told me that I asked her if she was married. I didn't remember. She said, "You asked me if I was married." I said, "For real?" Um, and she said, "No." I said, "Well, what did I say?" She said, "Good, because I'm not either." That's what I said. I said,
Yeah,
"Good,
that's
because
funny.
I'm not either." And I ended up giving her a business card. At this point, I was an associate at the church that my mother belonged to, and I had a business card, and I gave her a card. She told me her real name, which was amazing. She said she never did that. She, would never do that, but she did. And when I got to the house, I did some research, which something I never do. But God had orchestrated all of this from the morning about the business envelope.
Yeah,
Um, so I looked and I'm like, wow, she's amazing. She's absolutely beautiful. Said, Lord, the final thing is that she would love you more than she loved me, because I had had a penchant in my life for um, finding women that would make an idol of me, versus loving the Lord. And, God despises an idol. So that's probably why I went through a part of why I went through all that I went through,
yeah.
because I was creating that idol of myself, to be honest. And but that was the final piece. Needed to know that. We talked, and I told her I was going out of town and said, you know what, I'll be back on Sunday. I would love to go and get coffee or something when I come back. And she agreed. That's a whole nother story. I know we're getting long into this conversation, but yeah, so she's the greatest thing. I mean, there's no award. She is the greatest thing that has happened to me. Ed Block
That's a
Courage
great
Award,
story.
national championship, all of those things. But I couldn't do what I'm doing at the level that I'm doing it without her spiritual support. She is so very powerful spiritually, brother. I'm telling you that. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
to be able to ground a person like me when I get going, without, I mean, yeah, and that's who God created just for me.
That's a phenomenal story. And you're if you talk about the art of influence, right?
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Yeah,
and that's a fun. Like, just think about what are the odds of that actually going from your beginning thought process, looking at her, to getting married?
yeah. In less than a year.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how about the art of influence? Let's make that our final topic.
Okay. Well, the heart of influence is a tremendous opportunity to bring, it gives me an opportunity to serve communities and ecosystems at a very high level by bringing um, heart-centered, um, growth-minded individuals, professionals together, whether you be an attorney in the financial field, a physician, an entrepreneur, business owner, whatever the case may be. And as an entrepreneur, and the owner of a business and owner in a business, I get to, and as a consultant, I've got a wide range of individuals that I interface with. I cast a very wide net, and to be in a position to help others help themselves and help other people while helping myself is just tremendous. And you know what's amazing? That same business partner that I spoke about, um, he's a genius when it comes to marketing. And we were actually creating these same shared experiences back in 2008, 2009, where we had, he, off of his impulse, created a relationship with the general manager of the highest producing Costco in the Midwest, which was in
Okay.
one of the Costco's in Indianapolis. And we would bring businesses in for what we called lunch and leads. And the terminology at the time was you give an elevator pitch and tell who your ideal client is to the
Hmm.
rest of the group. And they would bring business together. So we were consultants that bring their businesses together, be paid a consultancy fee for bringing them to businesses together to elevate their growth. And Costco manager at the end of the lunch would then take all the business owners through and sell his memberships. So everyone walked away as a winner.
Yeah.
The only thing is, you think about 2008, 2009, the internet, there was no internet boom. That's back AOL. That's back when Bitcoin was like 5 cents.
Yeah.
And they were selling it, you get 10 Bitcoin for $1 on AOL.com.
Yeah.
Um, so we had no vehicle to optimize and to grow the business except it was paper. And I remember the last, before we decided that it wasn't going to work, back then Kinko's copies was like 15 cents a sheet.
Right.
And I'm counting the money going away, zzz, zzz,
Yep.
zzz,
Yep.
and thinking, okay, now we've got gas to transport them to different places, and we're going to have to go to multiple places. That's a full day of driving around the city and blah blah blah. Just I'm doing the math, and the business was not um, efficient at that day and time. So when I was introduced to the Heart of Influence, which years ago it was called the Real Raw, when I was introduced to the Real Raw, I knew that it would work. When I didn't have the idea of the formula that's behind Unblinded, but I knew that bringing individuals, like-minded individuals, into one place with the express intention of growing your business made perfect sense.
Right.
And we didn't have the terminology of a shared experience. It was just lunch and leads. We're going to go and do lunch and leads. And,
Yeah.
and we would do it bi-weekly. And it was working, most of all for the Costco guy, more
Oh
so than
yeah.
anyone else. But
He made out like a bandit.
oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. But that's
Wow.
okay. It was a learning experience, and it set me up. That's why I knew that the Heart of Influence, or this idea of a shared experience, made perfect sense, especially when you can do it now over video where it
Yep.
doesn't cost anything but some electricity versus travel, oil, gas, all of the things for the vehicle, so on and so forth,
Yeah.
and buying a meal.
Makes things a lot easier, a lot more cost effective, right?
100%.
That's awesome.
100%. So
Well,
yeah, it,
Quintus,
it just made perfect sense for me.
good. We've talked about a lot of stuff tonight, from your high school to college to the NFL to post NFL to your book to the Heart of Influence to the vision of looking at your wife for the first time and taking that to reality. You have done so many things in your life. It's incredible. And like I said in the beginning of this show, my I was so looking forward to getting to know you, the man. It's
Thank you.
cool to talk about you, the athlete. That's cool. But talking and learning about you and the adversity, resilience, things you've overcome, who you have become, and who you are and who you still
Becoming.
are going to grow to.
That's right.
Uh, it's a special story,
Thank you, brother.
you
I
know.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Is there anything we haven't touched on? Do you think we should hit before we wrap it up?
There is.
Okay.
I touched on being, a business owner. We started. There's four of us and our wives, four men and our wives, but it's the four men um, came together uh, to build a wellness company around a female product.
Okay.
Um, this country has there's an epidemic of hysterectomies in the country and especially in the Black community.
Yeah.
And there's many factors, but the greatest of them all is the chemicalization of the womb through feminine quote unquote hygiene products. That's a space that's not regulated by the FDA. And these companies that create these products are able to put whatever they choose in them and use whatever material they choose to use for them. And we realize that number one, they are chemically laden. They're not absorbent. The government allows them to lie and say 9 hour absorbency system, which is a complete lie. Many of them had blue dye on them, and there's all kinds of talk about for years about how bad blue dye is for the body,
Yeah.
and that's supposed to be the absorbency system. However, if you put water on them, not even an acidic urine, but water, not even an acidic blood, but water, and there's times where you can see the blue dye after just 20 or 30 seconds transferred to the paper towel, so you know that that's going up into the body
Yeah.
continuously. Well, we launched a company. We came together and launched a company June 1st of 2019 without any idea of what 2020 had in store. And we our business model is one where we've got the Rolls Royce, we've got the most absorbent, chemical free um, product that's over 90% biodegradable that's on the market. We put that together first and foremost. And instead of um, raising the price point to a Rolls Royce, we kept it low so that the Black community, our community, would be impacted by what we were doing. And from all through the pandemic, from June 1st of 2019 to December 31st of 2020, we grossed $3.5 million on a
Wow.
$6 product. We never missed a shipment. And just last week, we received our fourth Better Business Bureau Award for 12 consecutive months without a complaint.
Wow.
48 months with no complaints. And the only
That's
complaint,
unheard of.
yeah, it is. It has to be a record somewhere. I'm excited. I want to keep going, but we want to acknowledge what is. I
Yeah.
mean, in a woman's space, no
Yeah.
less. You know,
Now, are you in all the major like stores, like drug stores and that kind of stuff, or is it all online?
no, it's not all online. The majority is online. We do B2B for sure. So there are people who buy bulk and sell in their own brick and mortar.
Yeah.
The major stores want to tell you how to do business, and we won't allow them to tell us how to do business. We don't mind growing slow and steady.
Hmm.
Our goal is 1 million customers a month, and we'll get there. We'll get to 1 million customers a month. We are open in multiple countries, even in Puerto Rico. We're in Hawaii now. So extended places. We're in Canada. Jamaica is coming on board as we speak.
Nice.
Ghana's paperwork is complete. We're waiting on. We're in the process of getting them up and running. Nigeria is on board as well. I'm in conversations with other African nations. So we just will continue to go at our own pace and continue to present the world's best product for feminine hygiene, and we'll get to 1 million customers a month in due season.
That's awesome. Hey, it's it's just one, you're just making one impact after another,
To God
you
be
know,
the glory, brother. To God be the
which is
glory.
it's well, God bless you, man. This is awesome. Your story is incredible. And even though we're getting a little longer in the tooth age-wise, it's almost like you're still just beginning.
Yes,
Like you have
indeed.
so much more to do.
Yes,
It's like,
indeed.
holy crap,
Indeed. There's a lot
but
more, a lot
yeah,
more ahead. Yes,
yeah.
sir.
So I can't wait to see you next week,
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
at the Unblinded event. I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna have a group of like 20 guys there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
Michael,
I mean, that's a testament to who Sean is. I
yeah,
mean, Vesuvio didn't even hesitate after spending some time with Sean, and of course he was watching from a bird's eye view from because of the relationship
yep,
and how it evolved. Um, but once he and Sean got together, I think it was a an easy decision for Mike to make, and I think
yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. I'm super excited. We are making waves. Did I mention Colorado, the Buffaloes to you when we were first talking?
no,
Oh man. Well, that's who I wanted to get to because Dion is determined to build men. That's what he talks about.
I
You
love that
know,
guy.
only a few, chosen few are going to make it to play professionally,
Yeah,
period, but much less to the pinnacle of the NFL.
right,
But he has the opportunity to build men 125 at a time.
yep,
And a part of building men is to put an end to this ripping and running from adversity. What I see, we have the capacity to create a business model for these families and these young men that will help them not run and stand and face adversity because look, everyone's not going to the NFL.
right,
Everyone's not even going to play professionally, but you will be a representative of University of Colorado football for the rest of your life if you
right,
choose
yep,
to stay. And if you choose to stay, here's something that we can do. We can put the ink to the paper right here, right now, and show you how you walk out the rest of your
yeah,
life as a young man to set yourself up for the rest of your life to be
yeah,
wealthy. And never really truly have to work again for someone else. You can work
right.
and grow your own thing.
Now,
So
are you connected with Dion to work on stuff or?
I'm not connected with Dion, but I'm connected with the mother of an incoming freshman.
Okay.
That's a great start. That's all. That's
It's got to
because
start somewhere.
that's exactly right. I mean, I prayed and asked for an in. I mean, I did my part. I joined the Go Buffs and I get emails and all of that stuff. And then, 8 months later, God turns around and I get introduced to this mother of an incoming freshman. Where at? During deep practice at Unblinded from another
Okay.
elite member.
All right.
Says, you know what, Quintus, you're doing this work with youth. I've got a friend who's got a son, and I'm thinking, yeah, that would be great. I'd love to talk with her. Um, and then she goes on and continues and said, yeah, he turned down a scholarship from this place and accepted one at Colorado. I said, boy, my daddy is amazing. He is absolutely amazing. So, and I've met with her a couple of times, but met with the
Okay.
mother a couple of times. She's on board. She loves Empower You. I sent you the Empower You deck, didn't I?
No, I
Oh
don't
man,
think so.
I got some stuff to show you, brother.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
we
I'm
got.
looking for. I don't think you did. I hope if you did, I hope I didn't miss it. You
Well,
know.
we'll take a look next
Yeah.
week. I'll
Well, yeah.
get
Well,
it to
let's.
you. I'll get it to you prior, and
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
certainly
Let's
talk
check
about
that out. Let's have some fun with that.
it. Absolutely.
But Quintus, man, thank you again for being on the show and sharing your story. And I can't wait for this to go live and have everybody hear it and promote it and get as many people to listen to the impact you are making, you know, across the country, It's really
Thank
what it
you.
is. Or the world, when you're global now with this
Very
company,
global.
it's a global impact,
Yes, sir.
you
Yes,
know?
sir. Yeah, and the Empower You is we are certainly in multiple countries in Africa.
Yeah.
Um, we yeah, it's global. It
Yep.
is global, and I'm grateful to God for choosing me for this journey.
That's awesome. Well, listen, have a safe trip up here,
Indeed.
and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, sir. You as well. God bless you. I appreciate you. We went a little bit over 30 minutes, but
It's
you'll be all right.
all right with me.
Excellent.